King Groot is immune to bleed, power drain, and power burn effects. King Groot's personal fury buffs each provide increased attack rating and last for 13 seconds. Whenever King Groot receives a debuff, he will spend one personal fury buff after 0.5 seconds to purify that debuff. King Groot starts the fight with a Malice passive, which grants 3 fury buffs each time it activates. Malice lasts as long as King Groot has at least one personal fury buff remaining. While Malice is active, gain up to plus 100% fury buff potency, based on how long the fight has gone on. Max bonus is after 100 seconds. When Malice ends, it goes on cooldown for 13 seconds. When Malice is on cooldown, any attack from either champion has a 20% chance to grant 1 fury charge. When cooldown ends, gain 1 fury buff for each charge acquired and re-enter Malice. Each time King Groot's attack is evaded, auto-blocked, or misses, gain 2 fury charges. The cooldown for this is 3 seconds. Heavy attacks pause all poison and armor break debuffs on the opponent for 3 seconds. If Malice is active, heavy attacks will spend 1 fury buff to instead pause for 6 seconds. Special Attack 1 will inflict up to 3 armor break debuffs, with each having a 100% chance to activate, removing an armor up buff, and reducing armor rating for 15 seconds. This has a max stack of 10. These armor breaks also reduce future armor up buff potency by 10%. If Malice is active, spend 1 fury buff to make the armor break indefinite. Using the Special Attack 2, each hit of King Groot's Caustic Breath deals direct damage. This damage is tripled against #robot champions. There is a 100% chance to inflict a poison debuff, reducing healing effects by 30% and dealing direct damage over 10 seconds. If Malice is active, spend 1 fury buff to increase the poison duration by 100%. Using the Special Attack 3, King Groot has a 100% chance to gain a regeneration buff, recovering 10% of health over 3 seconds. This regeneration buff is paused while King Groot is heal blocked. If Malice is active, spend 1 fury buff to increase the buff duration by 50%. With an awakened King Groot, when Malice is active, gain up to plus 100% poison duration based on how long the fight has gone on. Max bonus is after 100 seconds. And when Malice enters cooldown, gain a regeneration buff, recovering health over 13 seconds. Similarly to the recently buffed Venom Pool, King Groot is really built for longer fights, as the potency of his fury buffs, and if you have him awakened, his poison buffs, will max out after 100 seconds within the fight. I found that I like to start the fight by building up to my special 1, and if the timing is right, you will still have your initial 3 fury buffs from your Malice. This way you can throw your special 1 and inflict 3 indefinite armor breaks on the opponent. Now, you can keep spamming your special 1 over and over when you have Malice active, thus maxing out your armor breaks at 10 if you so desire. I didn't find myself doing this too often, but I did experiment playing around with it. I found it better to just use the initial one to inflict the 3 armor breaks and then start hitting towards my special 2. Obviously, in a much longer fight, you may want to go the route of spamming that special 1 in order to inflict as many armor breaks as possible. Now, after your chosen amount of armor breaks has been applied to the opponent, it is then a matter of rinsing and repeating your special 2 attack and then just wailing out with your basic attacks. Again, you have the ability, at one point in one of the matches I played, I stacked up to 15 fury buffs or fury charges onto King Groot, which then converted into his fury buffs. And again, the longer the fights go on, the more powerful these fury buffs are going to become. So by the end of the fight, in a longer fight, you're just going to be dishing out tons of damage. Even with this rank 1 5-star Groot, he was still doing a pretty good amount of damage to Captain America here. Now, I will say, don't forget that if you do get into a spot of trouble where maybe you just missed a dex or something like that, and you took some damage, you can use his special 3 in order to regenerate 10% of your max health. This is a pretty good amount of regeneration, so it can come in handy if you get into a tight spot. Overall, King Groot is very simple to play. Use your special 1 to get the desired amount of indefinite armor breaks while your malice is active, and then it's simply a matter of rinsing and repeating your special 2 mixed in with as many basic attacks as possible in order to maximize the number of fury buffs onto King Groot.